Hi everybody, it is Gabriel. I got a great point for you tonight that I know is going to help a ton. If it's a little bit echoey, forgive me. But let me go ahead and share a little bit with you here on what I was thinking that I think will be a real big help. You know, you hear the people talk about their why all the time, correct? You know, you need to have a why that makes you cry. You know, there's all these different books on why, make your why front and center, you know, your why is your driving force, etc. Well, I agree with all of those things. But the mechanics of putting your why out there and writing your goals down, you know, even making a vision board. I do a whole training on vision boards. Is fine. But you know what the problem is as soon as there's any heat, as soon as there's any resistance, as soon as there's any challenges in your home-based business and when you're starting to try to expand, you know, your new venture, suddenly the why doesn't have the power as a catalyst that it once did. And let me just explain, so I'll make it a quick video tonight. When for instance, the current company that I'm in, right? All I wanted to do was be with my wife, be with my kids. Never miss a moment with my family, never. Design our lives on purpose to never miss a moment. Be very intentional about how we live, etc. And so when the obstacles came, which there were, when opinions came, which there were, any resistance, even bad days, it didn't matter what it was. The obstacles don't exist when you love big enough. When your why is big enough, obstacles don't exist. They may exist, but they don't have the power to derail you. So my wife tells me, she goes, Gabriel, do you remember when you did this and you did that and how you would literally go around the house? You would be on phone calls sometimes for hours, the whole day, pacing around the house. Do you remember when you would do this? And on these phone calls, how you would be. Sometimes you go hide yourself in the closet and pile up a bunch of your clothes and put your head on it just so you could isolate yourself from the noise from the children. And I remember some of those things. And then, but she says, do you remember when you did all those things? I said, well, kind of, but not really, because all I did was, in the back of my mind, I wanted to drive up to your office. I wanted to walk in the door, tell all of your coworkers, that's the end of my wife working here. Help you pack your stuff, walk down those spiral stairs, and drive off into the sunset. So for me, I wanted her out of her career so badly. And I wanted to be with her so badly. And she wanted to be with me so badly. We wanted to be with our children, right? That obstacles didn't exist. So I kept it front and center every day. Now she tells me this, and I don't remember doing this, but she said I did it. It used to drive her crazy. She said, do you remember when you would come kind of marching into my office every single day with little Aiden? He was 3 at the time when we joined our latest venture. And he and I would be out gallivanting around meeting with people that day, and we'd show up at lunchtime, you know, while she and her coworkers are working really hard. And she said, you used to look at everybody and constantly tell my coworkers, she goes, you even told my boss, you're not going to see Holly much longer. She goes, that used to drive me crazy. And, you know, there was a lot of opinions, a whole lot of them at her office. There was a lot of people that said a lot of things. I knew about all of it. But you know, what's funny is I wasn't upset and I wasn't bothered, because what else are people going to do, right? Most things don't work out for most people most of the time. Being a visionary, being a dreamer, being somebody that says, I'm going to bring you're not going to see her much longer. She is going to leave and we're going to ride off into the sunset on the white stallion. That just doesn't go over well when people haven't taken the same type of power and vision and ingested it themselves, right? People are doing what they need to do. They're doing what they know to do, and they're doing the best they can do. So when you come in the door and make all this noise saying, hey, all of you guys, I'm going to mess everything up and I'm going to take my wife out of here. It just doesn't go over well, and I get it. But for me, I wanted to be with her so badly that obstacles didn't exist. So the hardships of building a home-based business, which there are many, most of them are between the ears. They don't have the power that you allow them to, I promise. But they become louder and they have more power when your why is not front and center. When you have the blinders on and that's all you can do is think about that. I talk about this example. Let's say you had because I was bitten by several dogs growing up, right? I had some really bad dog bites on my legs. One time I was knocked on a friend's door, and I stepped back down to the bottom of the steps waiting for him, and he had 2 Doberman pinschers, and they opened up the door and they let their dogs out. And this Doberman pinscher came flying out the door, literally off of 4 or 5 steps, and in midair landed and clamped onto my leg. His back incisors, I guess that's what you call them, went all the way through my calf. It was horrible. Left entire mouth marks of teeth, like a shark bite, around me. And they just were like, come on, so-and-so, come on back in the house. I'm sitting there shaking after the reality of it kicked in. At first, the adrenaline's shooting up. Then I don't think about it until I go home and, my leg is doing what a major wound does when it's been punctured to that level. And nothing was ever done about it. That was a different time. Now you'd sue the neighborhood, you'd sue them, you'd sue everybody. But back then it was, the kind of stuff, unfortunately, just kind of happened more frequently without consequence, just the times. And anyway, the reason I use that example is because when I say it, I'm reminded of a story that I tell people whenever I'm doing workshops or classes or doing a big convention or a conference or whatever, or training teams virtually. It's pretty neat. And I said, listen, how many of you have children? Yeah. I said, so let's say you're having a nice sweet tea, right, by your pool in the backyard, and it's a beautiful sunny day and your kids are playing and your little kid walks out of the pool gate and walks out into the grass, and you see this giant dog come tearing across the field to go after your little one. Now, are you going to say, oh, wow, I'd really like to do something about that? Now, you might say this is a bad example, but just hear the spirit of what I'm saying. I'd sure like to do something about that, but gosh, how would I get to him or her quick enough? I mean, I got to put my tea down. I've got to get around the pool somehow. I've got to get out of the gate. I've got to be able to, or jump over the fence, and there's some bushes there, and I would just, no, you and I both know that if you saw that happening, something on the inside would kick in. That's how people lift cars when they don't have the capacity to do it.